What's happening, everybody? Welcome on back inside the BTS warehouse yet again. We have another Movie Buff podcast coming your way. This is Dakota. I'm going to be joined by my good buddy Dan Nigerian.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest joining us for this one. We got none other than JMR Luna.
Hello, ma'am.
A director, producer, and currently the content and production VP for Immortals and LA Valiant. How you doing, man?
Good, good. I'm very happy to be here. Very excited.
Awesome. So you brought Big Lebowski to the table as our centerpiece movie for this episode, and we're going to be super stoked to talk about it. And I'd actually never watched the movie all the way through. I only knew it based on the memes and GIFs and quotes.
Yeah, can you believe that?
Don't you have anybody else to take his place?
Dude, I didn't even know that. And halfway through, I like spoiled the scene. You know the pencil pad scene? I was like, okay, this is like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, you know? And I realized it didn't really register with him. And I was like,
Danny Trejo.
Well, he said napkin scene, so I'm like, okay. And then it happened, and it was a pamphlet or something instead. It ended up being my favorite scene of the movie.
Yeah, you laughed really hard. And then I realized that you had never seen the movie before. And I was like, oh my God, how do you go your entire life without seeing The Big Lebowski?
This is a good thing, though, man. We need someone with a new, fresh perspective on it, you know? So,
I mean, we can jump into it if you guys want, but like that movie is...
No. First, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you.
People don't know who the hell you are because, like us, a lot of the time, we're not really a face of the screen. We put a lot of our work out there for everyone else to be able to enjoy, and then just kind of like let that do all the bragging or all the boasting for us. So before you were with Immortals and LA Valiant, you had some time with EG, and before that, you're just a big film nut. Big film guy.
Yeah.
So let's start back with that. Let's fucking go all the way back. Why movies and film? Like, why even that road, you know?
A cold morning in Spain. It was a Monday. I was born 32 years ago. And yeah, I was born in Spain. I went to college in London, and then I moved to Denmark. And then I moved here 9 years ago. And all I wanted was to tell stories. You know, you never think, oh, I'm going to be a cinematographer. I'm going to be that. I just wanted to tell stories. So I moved to LA, and I found that I was good behind the camera. So I was a cinematographer for 4 movies. I made commercials all around the world. It was going well, but I felt that I wanted to be more part of movies itself. I wanted to be the deciding factor of what is the story that we're telling and how are we telling it. So I took a leap of faith, got a little loan from a bank, and opened my production company. I was able to produce 6 films. I raised like $5.6 million in the first year, and I directed a film for MGM.
The fucking dream, dude. You actually did it.
I make movies.
You came to California.
I did.
And you made movies.
I did.
Like, literally everybody's dream, whether you're in esports or if you just are holding a camera in this state, that is why you're here, and you actually did it. When you told me about the budget and then showed me the movie, Tell is the movie. If you guys have not heard of it, you should check it out. Dude, Starbuck is in it.
Starbuck
is in it. Let's look at
Jason
the cast.
Lee.
Jason Lee, a childhood hero of mine. I mean, like, everything. Mallrats, like, you know, changed my life. As many people did.
Brody.
I can't. What was it like?
I think we're gonna get along with the movies. Eh?
Yeah.
Mallrats, Lebowski.
Dude. Okay. Yeah. When I was looking at that, and also, the gentleman from Heroes, who now is on
Milo Ventimiglia.
Yes.
He's a producer with me.
What was it like working with those guys? Because as much as I feel like I've never had a problem with being starstruck in music industry, in esports, or in my limited time in some celebrity stuff, I feel like I would have a problem working with those guys. What was it like the first day?
Is it intimidating? These guys have done big things, and they're like, who the fuck are you, Spain boy?
I'm going to tell you the story then. I'm going to try to take it fast, otherwise this is going to be my whole podcast about stories.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have like an hour talking.
I like to tell stories. Boom,
so
5 hours later.
I wanted Jason Lee from the beginning. Jason Lee was my number one that I wanted for that position. But he will not meet with me. He wouldn't want to meet with me. And Milo, that was a producer with me in the film, he's also with CAA. So eventually Milo was like, dude, we're going to fucking meet with him. Sorry, can I curse?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so we're going to meet with him. We're going to meet this guy. So then Milo's agent start pressuring his agent. And we said, okay, we're going to be in this restaurant at 9 a.m. You choose to come or not.
Really?
So Jason Lee...
That's like how it goes in the movies. That actually...
So Jason Lee walks to the screen. So we all... I didn't want to eat while I was meeting with him. So I arrived there at 8 just to eat by myself. Jason Lee was there doing the same thing.
No.
And Milo was there doing the same thing. So we were all there at 8 a.m. I was like, okay, well, might as well eat together. The first thing that Jason Lee said, I don't want to do this movie. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why you guys woke me up this early. And I was like, great. Well, we only have 1 hour now to turn it around. And by the time he left, his agent called me and said, okay, he's in.
Oh,
So it took an hour to turn him around.
Jesus
And was that hour
Christ.
mostly on you, just to say
What'd
like
you
why
say?
this is
No,
your project, why
It's
this is your
Milo.
passion?
I mean, you guys know that passion is always the first driving force. And
yeah.
then an actor wants to do something that they normally don't get to do. Something
They
that
want to
is-
be drawn to it in some way.
the way that I explain him is like, you're the bad guy in this movie, and you grew up watching James Bond. So in your mind, what a bad guy looks like is the guy from Octopussy. So he's a guy playing another guy in another movie.
Yeah.
And he bought it. So he said, okay, I want to play a guy pretending to be the bad guy in Octopussy.
Dude, it's like the new Star Wars guy. It's Kylo Ren. It's like Kylo Ren growing up with Darth Vader. That's the same thing, right?
And the other story, I have Robert Patrick in my movie. That is the guy from Terminator.
Yeah.
yeah,
he-
the T1000.
Yes, he drives a Harley Davidson. He's a badass.
Oh
he's
my God.
buff. The first thing he walks on set and he looks at me, he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" I'm like, "No, I'm the director. Welcome. How are you? Here's your water. Come this way." So, because I don't know, I want them to get on the speed and I want them to have a feeling of me. So I told them, "Okay, let's do a cold read. Okay, just come to set with me." And he's like, "No, I don't need a cold read." And I'm like, "No, it's for me actually. Can you just? I want to see you on the space because I never rehearsed with him.
So you had no rehearsals before?
Not with some
It's
of the
just you
guys.
show up on set and we're shooting?
We had another actor for that role,
Stand-in,
but
you know?
he got trapped in Fury, the movie with Brad Pitt that I was shooting in London. So we lost him 2 days before the movie. So I've never met with Robert Patrick in my life when he came on set. So I arrived on set and I said, okay, let's do a cold read, meaning no emotions, just I want you to talk on the space so I can see the space. And he starts talking and he's reading the lines like this. And I'm like, oh shit, this guy never read the script.
Well,
He's-
he signed like 2 days before, right? So he's probably never
So
even
I'm
looked at
like, fuck. It was supposed to be like a oneer, you know? It was supposed to be one shot with a steady cam and all that. So
it. And he doesn't know the lines.
he doesn't fucking know the lines. So I'm like, fuck, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I was like, great, that was really good. High five, awkward high five.
Yeah, you got to keep everybody's spirit. You can't let
Yeah.
anybody know
No,
that
no,
the
no.
house is on fire.
And I go back. It's like, okay, we need to bring 3 cameras. We need to put a camera here. We need a camera here, so at least I can piece up the scene, you know. And everybody comes on set and they're ready to go. I'm like, fuck it, let's see what happens. I'm like, oh, we're gonna do the first part of a take, the first part of a whole scene, and it's a dry take, meaning that there's no blood involved.
Okay.
Okay. And I say action, and Robert Patrick does, bam, and said it's all in one. He nails the fuck, and I'm like,
What a fucking pro.
What a god,
no,
dude.
he's fucking with me.
Wait, he was fucking with
He
you?
was fucking with me. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna play this. So on the next take, I hide a bag of blood on Milo's hand. So in one moment, Robert Patrick elbows him in the face and hits him with the table. So he thinks it's a dry take.
Oh.
But in the middle of a take, when Milo goes down, he splashes the bag of blood on his face and comes out completely bloody.
Okay.
So
So
Robert
he think he actually did it.
he thinks he thinks he hit the lead of the movie, who is in every single shot of the movie, against the table. He goes white in the middle of a take. And I let it go and I didn't cut, and he's like looking off camera like, why are you doing this? And I cut and Milo turns around laughing at him, his teeth are all bloody.
Oh my god.
And
That's
he's
great.
like, Jay! And I was like, don't fuck with me. I'm telling you, I will do this the rest of the movie. And I did it. I wouldn't tell him which takes were dry, which takes were wet. I wouldn't tell him what the reactions was gonna be. So I forced him to react.
Keep him on his toes.
Yeah,
I
and it
like
was-
that.
So do you end up keeping those takes?
I wouldn't use them. It was a way to manipulate them into getting what I wanted.
Ah, God,
To force
dude.
them to react.
The alpha card.
I think that people forget how much of being a director is not just getting people to do what you want, but like manipulating them into doing all kinds of things, like just for that end goal. You know, it's such a weird position to be in. You have to make them happy, but also make them feel like they need to be doing what you're saying.
Working with actors is a privilege of every director. I don't know why some of them don't want to do it, because it's the most beautiful thing in the world. You have a human there that is feeling for you, that is going through a journey with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a journey, it's not a vertical journey. You have to get them, you have to help them get there. Because if you don't help them and the movie suffers, you can't put it on the actor. Every single time I see a bad performance, it's how was the writing? How was the editing? How was the director? Was he helping him or her? were they hurting him? Because I see a lot of people that, you know, that's your mark, say your line, and walk.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then they give you like, just go sad, okay? Remember, think about like your mom just got run over by a car. I'm like, what the fuck? How do I apply that into anything?
Yeah.
No, more sad. I'm like, okay, well,
What?
give me an
Why?
objective.
Yeah. I think the collaborative experience.
I feel
of
like
it.
we
awesome.
just reviewed a movie, and I remember reading about how the actors did kind of have their own free will as far as what they brought into it, and I thought that was an incredibly interesting choice.
What were we just talking about? I know. What
Not
you're talking about.
Annihilation. Well, I
No.
don't remember what was before that though, but it definitely was a movie where they kind of brought in their own elements to it.
Well, Lebowski was like this. Not to touch it too much.
Yeah.
But the Jesus, that character was mostly made up by what's his name?
John Turturro.
Totoro. Yeah.
amazing.
Who is now? Do you guys know they're doing a new version? He's writing, directing, and starring in a spin-off
Oh,
Really?
and that's his character.
Jesus.
of that character.
Jesus.
Oh.
And the idea is, I
The
guess,
ball.
like
He deserved
Oh
more
my
time. He
God.
deserved more time.
he came up with the ball thing too. He came up with like everything about that character. He came up with. They just let the Coen Brothers let him go free, and so now he's in charge of this character in the new movie. And I guess it's going to be something like he's like wrongly accused of being a pedophile or something.
Well, yeah.
He is a pedophile in the movie.
Yeah.
Remember Lebowski?
Yeah.
Remember?
So
Yeah, Lebowski says it, but that's the whole point. Is that
So he
he
might
was
clear
wrongly
himself.
accused of it, and this is the story of that.
Alright.
But that's why Lebowski and
That's
everybody
hilarious.
like says that stuff.
Well, let's reel back right now.
Yeah, wait.
because-
Can I ask a question? I know
Yeah.
you're gonna try to get us online. I'm gonna try to get us
because
off.
we do have the trailer for that movie. And
Really?
Yeah, so I want to be able to check it out before we hop away from talking about Tell.
Okay. Yeah, let's watch it real quick. Let's watch it. You can
so
see. You
we
can
were
see
just talking a lot about Tell.
Absolutely.
how fucking Hollywood this guy is. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Normally
yeah.
we're all esports. This is Hollywood.
I float. I don't even touch the ground when I walk.
There is a moment in everyone's life when you look back and ask yourself, what was the choice I made that brought me here? Only to realize that the choice you made was wrong.
Everyone in the city's watching you.
We know that you stashed the money. We're gonna find it. Do not bleed on me.
I think we got off to a bad start.
I'll help you.
Tell me what?
Get the cash.
Cash burned up in the fire.
I like that. Keep it like that.
You're rich, and I love you.
Money burned up at the house, Beth. Still love me?
Of course, I still love you. Is there really no money?
You know your ex-partner's gonna kill you.
Where's my goddamn money?
I told you I don't have the money! I told you the truth, okay? Why would you do this?
Lebowski sweater.
I really thought there was bleach in there.
Ah, that's just water.
God has a plan for you, son.
Tell us where the money is. Do that! This entire mess goes away.
If you tell us, you walk out of here free and clear.
Where is it?
Do you want to go back to prison?
There's nothing to worry about.
One more thing.
Excuse me?
Directed by J.M.R. Luna.
Dude, that's a movie.
Dude,
that's
that's
a
it.
movie.
It's crazy that there's not like a face that I don't know. You know, there's not one person who is just like some guy. You know, or it's like every single from Faison to the con man guy, Alan.
Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, like every single person is somebody.
For
I
me, it
know.
was like Expendables for nerds.
Yeah.
I literally went through all the shows and I casted all the
Yeah.
people of all the shows.
There was
that I
tons
liked.
of nerdy people.
Firefly, Battlestar Galactica, Heroes, My Name is Earl. Like, it was like all of them.
That's crazy. Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
Like, and I love how there's a bunch of nuggets in that trailer. So there's the scene, if you guys saw, there's a scene that he was talking about where he bashes him into the
Yeah.
bar. That's what he's talking about. And then he's wearing the Lebowski sweater,
He's wearing, we look for it.
which is all. I guess all the wardrobe in Lebowski is provided by. Oh my God, spacing on his name, lead actor's name in Lebowski,
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. Yeah,
Yep.
he brought everything. He just brought it from home.
Milo wears all his clothes in the movie as well.
So what I wanted to ask you is,
Yeah.
you were talking about directing actors, and I think it's really interesting because now,
Oh boy, now.
you're much more doc style, and
Yeah.
you're directing players, esports players. What is the big
Probably
difference?
the furthest from actors.
Yeah, that might be the furthest from actors. Some of them got a little flair, but a lot of those guys are just very unaware of their body. They're never going to be able to find their light. You know,
Yeah.
they're
'Cause they're
not
in the basement, in the dark.
Yeah.
You can't really get out to the light. No.
So what is it like now? What's the difference between directing actors and directing esports players?
It's very different. I don't like thinking that I'm directing sport players. What I'm doing is I'm telling a story, and I tell the story through different tools that I have, and I have technique to be able to tell that story. In movies, the way that I build my pieces are by writing a script, making that person tell the line, and get him or her to tell the line in a way that I can make it work later. Now I actually have to shoot way more footage, and I have to structure my stories very differently because I can't tell them just say this line. So now what I do is like a collection. I collect moments. So, for example, one of the difference that I think that I am different from many other people in esports is that I actually write my episodes before I shoot them.
I was going to ask you that.
I write.
You do.
I write all my episodes before I shoot them.
Explain me that process.
Okay, so for example, which episode do you think is going to be easier for our viewers?
The
Life of a
viewers
Genius?
are going to understand. So, like we said, he did Life of a Genius, which most of our viewers are going to have a little
Okay.
bit
Yeah.
more. But I would like to hear what you do now.
Okay.
Like let's talk about the Valiant.
Right now. So I was given a unique opportunity. I was brought into this team, and I was given the keys of the car to do whatever I wanted with it. And they allowed me to show things that nobody has allowed other teams to show. I show the full drama. I show them arguing. I show everything. So, for example, my first episode was like an omakase, you know? It was a tasting menu. I didn't want to give you any plot. All I wanted to give you is little moments so you could get a little feeling of what this team is. That was introduction. Then episode 2, I wrote an episode about the conflict that two of the players were having. But in the middle of the shooting, the argument actually eroded, and it happened on camera with two cameras.
Okay.
So I was able to build the episode around it. For episode 3, I had written the script of I want to start is the story of one of our players called Brady, and his in-name is Agilities. And I wanted to start here, and I wanted to finish here. So then I went back through all the footage that I had already collected, and I figured out what pieces were allowing me to move the story forward.
Oh.
And then I led the interviews to get the pieces that
Yes.
I needed to tell the story that I wanted to tell. Because there's a million stories that I could have told about that specific week.
So would you have filmed like all that stuff? You got let's say like you happened to capture the argument and all that, and then you would pull them in for the interviews to kind of help fill in.
I think
what
it's a
was
little
going
bit
on.
it's a little bit more complex because I know that if I'm telling an episode about friendship, I am trying to get 2 shots. I'm trying to get 3 shots. I'm trying to connect my characters. I'm trying to create a dynamism, a dynamic between them. If I'm telling a story about isolation and how they're far from home, I try to shoot moments where maybe they're making the coffee by themselves.
Yep.
Maybe they're looking outside of the window.
Yeah.
I isolate them by themselves in the screen instead of connecting them. I put a shallow depth of field, so I isolate them even more from the surroundings.
Yeah.
If I want to make a story about, I don't know.
Have you ever had a story that you knew you really wanted to do, but the players in the situation just never really came to be what it was?
Yes, but I feel that through technique I can get away with a lot of things.
Oh.
And I might not be able to give you the 10 version of it,
Okay.
but if I'm passionate about the story, I might push the 8 version of it. Just because I think that story is important to understand the overall arc of where they want to go.
Yeah. So, what was the transition like?
Yeah.
And how did you get into East? Because I feel like if anybody's looking at you, you're very successful in Hollywood, which is the dream, like we said. Your movies are making money, which is like impossible. So, how do you walk away from that, and why do you walk into esports? Where does that even come in your life?
I love you guys.
Are you a guy
I love this stuff.
that like?
You like gaming?
Yeah. So where?
Love it.
Explain to people
So I'm going to explain
how that happened, because I think most people would think, dude, you're crazy. What are you doing? There's
Like
no
you just
money
did
I'm not even
there.
crazy. Okay.
You're working with T1000. Why do you want to come work with our
It's a-
tour?
it's
Our tour.
The potato farmer is not the same.
Mr. Arthur. Look, success is a complicated thing to deal with because success is something that other people think of you. For me, I need to be able to go to bed every day and be excited about my next day. So I made movies, and movies had a huge price that I had to pay in my life. The price was my life, literally. I had no human relationship with anybody. I was isolated from my parents. I was isolated from everybody, because when I make a movie for 2 years, all you think is about you. You live with these characters, and these characters are your friends, and you live with these actors, and you live with your crew, and then they leave, and you're empty. I remember the last day of shooting, I was sitting on the ground after shooting nights for 4 days. I felt empty. And then I was around people, and it destroyed my mind, because I'm like, I'm not part of society. So after doing that for a few years, I said, okay, I need a break. I'm just gonna take, I don't know if it's a sabbatical, I don't know how you call it, but I needed a break. And I said, okay, I want to do a documentary. Never done one. Sounds awesome. And I literally wrote on a page the 3 themes that I wanted, 3 different documentaries. Thought about doing one about North Korea. Thought about doing one about professional mercenaries that America...
like Blackwater stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by then I was a huge Dota player. I played thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, and I watched you guys, and I was the competitions online, and I said, that sounds fun. And I literally sent 2 emails. One of them was to my mother to tell her that I am not going to make movies for a while, and the other one was to PPD.
PPDs. What year is this? When is this?
This is January 15, 2017.
The day. Why do you
Yes.
know the day?
Because I know the day, because
2017.
all my dream were to make movies. So that's the day that I said, all right, I'll be back. I'm not sure if I'm going to go forever, but I'll be back for a while.
Did you shoot the Peter?
Day with?
Wait, was that the first thing you shot?
The first thing that I ever shot was A Day with Fear, and we got 200,000 views. And the next day I shot A Day with Peter.
Ah.
And I had an old camera that I haven't held a camera in 3 or 4 years.
What did you shoot it on?
5D Mark II.
So you're going from a crew, somebody pulling focus and somebody pulling playback, to you on a DSLR.
I went from 3 cameras on set with a Techno crane and a Steadicam operator. I don't have tripods in my films. I don't like tripods.
You don't use tripods.
I don't use tripods. I don't use I
So you
don't
hate
use dollies.
Fincher.
No tripod, no dollies.
Okay.
So all I wanted is this.
Handheld.
And then
yeah.
I went from that to, okay, I guess I'm filming with you.
So what was
Yeah.
it like the first day when you walked into hanging out with Peter?
Dude, you're PPD. I've seen you before, you know?
And he's just kind of like, let's do some stuff.
And
Look,
did
Peter,
you play Dota 1?
I did.
Oh, so you're a Warcraft 3.
I play Warcraft 3. I used to play with my friends in the LAN cafes, because in Spain we still have a lot of LAN cafes.
Yeah.
And I grew up playing there, and then I transformed into Dota from the first Dota, when it was Defense of the Ancients and nothing will work.
Yeah. Dota
Yeah,
All-Stars and stuff. Yeah. Did you? Wow. Okay. So who's your hero? Who do you like playing? Do you still play now?
I only play ugly heroes.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I play Venomancers, I play the Underlords.
So green heroes. Yeah.
I like
Undying.
green ugly
yeah.
heroes.
Yeah. green-
Undying is one of my favorite
Necro
heroes.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Guilty.
I like the being as annoying as I possibly can.
Yeah. Cancer heroes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. When I super random, but when I love those heroes too.
Uh-huh.
So when I did the graphics package for Frankfurt, my whole pitch was based around those heroes, and I was like, this is the dark, ugly side of Dota that we don't get to see. And that was like my entire pitch of the whole graphic. And so the whole thing was green and neon and fucking like smoke and all this
That's
ugly
awesome.
stuff, and it was great. But I love that too. That's funny.
I think you could not have reached out to Peter probably at a better time than that time, because I think that's when he really got on a big content kick, right?
He changed.
He like suddenly like he must have just watched Casey Neistat for a bit and was like, I want to do vlogs, and then he was starting his own like vlog
He
thing.
did. He
and a
did
bunch
that.
of it, and he's like, I just want to keep doing content. And he was somehow like competing and editing his stuff or handing it off to an editor
Yep.
to do stuff, and then you come in and you probably I got Hollywood credit. I can make you look real good. We can make some real good content.
It was interesting because I didn't know the inner dynamics of esports. I didn't know the inner dynamics of Peter's life and EG. So it was a little bit rough at the beginning. Eh?
Yeah.
Well, it's
'cause-
very complicated. As soon as you enter that doorway into a team, you realize that it's a very tangled mess, mostly. No matter what org you're in, no matter what you're doing in esports, there's so much history in these relationships that it's sticky. It's sticky no matter which way you get in there. So especially when you have a camera, you're the guy in the room with a camera, you suddenly become a threat to some people in some ways. And when they don't, like we talked about them not trusting you at first a little bit before.
Okay, so look, EG is much bigger than just the Dota team. So I didn't start with the Dota team. I started with Peter and Clinton, but then I went to do like Call of Duty, and the Dota team was always like this mysterious team that I never get to hang out, that I only see them once.
Were they like the most mysterious team like in the whole EG like kind of
they're
field?
the most famous team in Evil Genius,
Mhm.
and they are super talented. All I dreamed was like when I sent the email to Peter, I didn't send the email to make Call of Duty team content. I wanted to make Dota content.
Yeah.
But it took me months to get into that room.
Because he's CEO then.
He was.
If you remember, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
CEO.
was.
So that's why he's going through Peter. It's not because he's just talking to the player. He's talking to the CEO.
Correct. And when I met the Dota team, I don't get starstruck by the celebrities and the actors. I'm like, dude, you're Sumail. High five. And somebody is looking at me like, okay.
Who the fuck are you?
But they're pros because they did TrueSight and they had like the 1UPs of the world were there with them. So these guys have been around cameras for
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
So it's not that they didn't trust me. It's that I'm just one of many. So from day one, they're not like, I don't know, calling me for breakfast and making me toasts.
Yeah, they're not asking you to hang out.
No.
They're just like,
No.
you're just a guy that's here and will be gone, you know?
Probably because they have, how much turnover there is in esports.
Yeah, between people
Everybody
and
just goes
teams
in
and
and goes.
anybody is there. Somebody who's there today is not going to necessarily be there
Yeah,
next week.
so why would you invest in having personal relationships with someone that...
That's a lot of now that team is a little different because they've been together, a lot of them, for
Yeah.
a while, and they do have some good friendships. But a lot of teams you'll see are a little estranged from each other because, especially in Dota, there's so much swapping of players.
Yeah.
So just because you like a guy doesn't mean he's going to be your teammate forever. And it doesn't mean that you're going to take him over somebody else because in the end of the day, Dota players want to win, which is what makes them very different than everybody else. And I think
Yeah.
It's a prize pool.
the prize pool, right?
A lot of
It
money.
changes their motivations. And like you
Yeah.
said, you really wanted to film the Dota team. The Dota team was so different. I think a lot of organizations, the Dota team is so different. And like whether it's Team Liquid, EG, Optic, anybody, usually they're much separated from the rest of the org because their motivations are very different. They don't rely on the team for as much. They're much more focused on just winning because the money doesn't come from sponsorships or their salary with the team. The money comes from winning. Like, that's it. So it's a much different dynamic with those players.
So it makes me curious now that you get to work more with like Overwatch. And Overwatch feels now like it's very clean. Like they're finding players for putting on sunglasses and doing stuff. So how are you able to get all the spicy stuff or the drama or
Yeah.
anything? And how are they? I'm curious because are they going through PR training classes? Are these kids,
They are.
are they like setting the stage for how all other teams in esports should be working with media?
To be able to segue to Overwatch, I wanted to finish the thought on Evil Genius.
Sure.
Please
Like
do.
I am extremely lucky and extremely happy that it was that org. I heard a lot of horror stories. I've never lived one. I arrived to a team and they had Phil, and Phil is an incredible person that helped me throughout the whole process. So the moment that Phil said that it was okay for me to be there, then immediately everybody said, okay, I guess it's okay. And from day one with Phil, everything was great. So I felt that what I needed to do is never break their trust, and I was be a team player for them. And as long as I was able to go with the flow, they became close friends of mine. They're an incredible group of guys. I miss them dearly every day, and I wish I could spend more time with them. But they, like you said, these guys have been together for a very long time. And before Phil, it was Charlie, and they have their own culture and their own dynamic. So now I go to Overwatch. Overwatch is a very new team.
Yeah.
It's a very new game. But I feel the game in our own org is transpired from Noah. Is Noah willed this team into existence. So the team has the values of Noah. So there is a whole
That's
culture
the
there.
CEO of Immortals,
Noah
if people
Winston.
don't know. Yeah, Noah Winston.
So
Heard
he's-
nothing but good things about him.
Dude, he's
Good friend of Greg, or a guy who used to work
great.
here.
He's great.
Yeah.
Again, how lucky I am, that I've been able to work for Phil and now for Noah.
Bill, also an amazing
Incredible
guy,
guys. Yeah.
amazing facilitator, a true asset to not only Dota but his team.
Yeah, he's
Um,
super happy. So now I go to a team, and the team they've not been together for a very long time. So it's a great opportunity for me to come in and set up the new rules for this new world, from the beginning.
Yeah.
We gave them the PR training through in Immortals and LA Valiant. We have a head of PR. Her name is Jen, and he's training the guys. Then they have a great manager that is super helpful. And honestly, I'm not saying that because I'm with them right now. I'm with them because they are really that awesome.
I think the honest thing is if you didn't find them helpful, you wouldn't mention them.
They're incredible.
You just wouldn't bring them up. Yeah. So
I mean, like all the teams, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna deny it. We have troubles. I put an episode that it was quite controversial. The players were not okay with it. So I spent that night and the whole next day talking with them, going through the cut with them, trying to not let them do what they wanted, but I wanted to hear their thoughts and be very careful about how those moments are going to impact their lives and their careers.
Yeah.
Even though I might have a disagreement about how the long term looks for them, I still need them to buy into what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that vision they have to be a part of that, or they're going to fight you.
And I start with them, and I explain them that people like characters that are 3-dimensional, not people that are 2-dimensional. If you're just nice and happy and that's what you are, you're going to be forgotten because there's 160 other players right now giving the same message. So think about Peter. Peter is great in branding, you know? He's able to figure out how to make his brand.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Clinton. Clinton is one of the wittiest and funniest people I ever met in my life.
You wouldn't know that based on like
He
what we see
does not
online
share it, no.
and, like every piece of content, he's
Correct.
like, "Why the fuck am I here?" You know, but
Sumel, I think Sumel he's that guy. He's really that smart, and he's trying to figure out how do I push my brand and how do I say the craziest thing I can say. So
he's starting to put himself out there.
Yeah.
He
Incredible.
came on our show. The Hot Cox interview
saw
with
it, I
Ken
saw it
was
on
really
there, on the
good.
TV.
It felt like for me the first time, it was like Sumail kind of like Unchained, you know, like he was just talking and just expressing himself, and it seemed like he must have just had enough and just was like, I just gotta do this. I gotta start talking, you know.
I have players like that now on my new team, and they're incredible, and I can't wait to be able to showcase more their own stories. There's a lot of great personalities. I have a guy that is Karif. I can show you a video later. I literally took Karif fishing. It's a guy that barely speaks English, and he discovered salami, and he's never had salami before, and now he loves salami.
I love salami.
I have another player called Agilities that is incredible. I have Fate that is the captain of a team or the main tank. Like all these guys are great. But I don't only have an Overwatch team. I also have a Dota team, which they're awesome, those guys.
I bet.
Super friendly, super cool.
That'd
He's
He's
Have
funny.
you seen the video that we put
Dude, it's
yesterday
hilarious.
with the chair?
The chair one? Yeah, that's funny.
I didn't do it. We have a guy called Jeremy.
Yeah, he's your DP, right?
He's not DP anymore. He's a full creator, full on.
Okay.
And he has a special mind and he has a special taste. And that video is the first little part of what this guy is capable of.
Nice.
He's a superstar.
It's really funny.
It,
It's really funny.
how much he was able to, and even technique, he doesn't have the lens attached to the camera. He has the lens
Oh, he's
floating.
freelancing?
He's floating the lens in front of the camera. So that's why he gets all the flares. They're not
Yeah.
in post. So he has a lot of technique to be able to execute.
Freelancing, yeah, that's some like stuff we used to do for music video stuff. Like you don't attach the lens to the camera. So what he's talking about is you literally have it sitting in front of there and you move it like this, and what happens is it blows out your sensor and you get these big light leaks
Yeah.
from like that are real and natural instead of what most people do, which is buy like 4K light leak pack and then just slap it on over it, you know?
It also does an effect called tilt shift because it's
Oh,
more
yeah.
complicated. It's you create the focus plane, but when you move the lens right or left, then it changes the
Did he use a
tilt.
tilt shift lens?
No, but by doing that, he's still shifting.
Oh.
Because the plane is moving right to left.
Right.
So that's how you get all that miniature,
Yeah.
messed up focus. I mean, if you think about Social Network, remember the scene where they're rowing? That everybody looks like miniatures?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
a tilt tilt.
Yeah.
Tilt shift.
There's like a
lens.
subreddit of tilt shift. I think like they get a lot of landscapes and make it look like little toy sets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct.
Those are
Yeah,
so
a lot of it is done landscape or city stuff, and it's usually high up. The different kinds of lenses that you do it. So he's doing like a pretty advanced technique. Otherwise, you need to you can fake it by basically just taking a blur and blurring the top and the bottom and keeping a little sharp edge in the middle, and that'll fake it. And you can have like there's filters on your camera that'll do that, or on like your cell phone. The other way is using a special type of lens which has a billow in the center of it. Okay, and so think about it like this: there's a lens at the front, and at the front of the camera, and there's a lens up here, and there's a billow in the middle, and you can literally move it like this, and when you do that, you can
It changes the
acquire
focal
that
point.
effect.
Like, for example, just to make people understand for a second, if I have a normal lens and I put focus on this part, my face might not be focused. But it moves, if this is the frame, it moves from front to back exactly on the same focal plane.
Okay.
But on a tilt shift lens, I can put a cap there, a cap here, and my face here, and keep all the 3 elements in focus, but having everything else here. Because instead of having a horizontal plane of focus, you can change it.
Yeah, you can. It's crazy. It's cool.
That's gnarly.
Fun stuff to do, and I've always felt like not enough people are playing around with technique in esports. I come from the music industry, and it was always, what's a new crazy thing we can do?
Yeah.
What can we shoot through? What kind of crazy lens can we find? What kind of new projector technique can we? Whatever we could do, everything always had to visually look so much different, whether it was just as simple as let's shoot the entire thing on Lens Babies, or like let's shoot everything through, like let's go to the science store and buy a bunch of crystals and weird stuff and shoot through that, which is now super popular in Instagram photography and now finally leaking into esports.
Take some light bulbs.
But that's like, I think what we need in this industry is visual like identities that's more than just let's get your CP2s, let's make it as sharp as possible and as clean as possible. Let's muck it up. Let's get some people who are more like artists creating content that is different. So like everybody's so obsessed with making things look
traditional
nice
sports and
traditional
esports,
sports and
it's
like stuff
this
like
is a new
that.
thing.
Pretty is, for me, is the pollution.
Pretty, yeah.
Because pretty is a weird understanding. Pretty imperfect. I like controlling imperfections. That's why I like the tilt shift lenses. That's why I like the crystals that you're mentioning. Through technique, you can control the imperfections to tell the story that you want to tell.
Yeah.
That's really complicated.
That's why it's funny. When we were shooting, out in Indonesia last week, and one of the guys we had working with us kept on getting really mad because I don't like my focus to be perfect. I like to slip focus all the time.
And to find it?
Yeah, and then
Peter Berg?
let it balk around and just mess up with it, and like for me, that's what creates the texture that makes it look and feel like something I want to watch. And he was just so mad. He couldn't deal with it. He was constantly being like, this shot's ruined. The focus is off. Like, you need to stick your focus. And it's funny how it's just there's different people have different ideas of what is good and what is not. But for me, it's always been I like to slip that focus in and out, shoot risky, shoot super low depth of field, but
make choices.
Yeah, choices, right? That's what I love saying to people is
choices. When
people talk about what somebody does and they try to argue about the merit of the work of like, is it good? And I'm like, well, it's not. Is it good? Is that a good choice? That's just is that a decision or is that a mistake? Like, you know, they're two different things. Like, he might have chosen to do that because for whatever reason, that's what he likes, you know?
Mm-hmm. I always talk about the difference between the choice and the execution. Mm-hmm. If you make a choice and the choice is not right, but the execution is there, then you have the technique to execute the choice. But if you don't have a technique and you make a choice, was the choice wrong or you just couldn't pull it off? Because you might have the best choice, but maybe you didn't have enough technique to execute it.
You gotta know what you have to work with.
Yeah. Like, do you like, for example, the Captain Phillips movies?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
well, that director is incredible. Mm-hmm. He is incredible, but I think that he has a mind that only him can shoot like that. Mm-hmm. The movies are crazy and they're all imperfect. The cameras are like this, and the shots are like that.
Wait, which movies are we talking about?
Captain Phillips.
I didn't see this.
Paul Greengrass, the director. He did also the Bourne Identities and all that.
Okay.
Okay.
So that guy has a
very signature style to what he does. Yeah.
And only he can do it because in his brain that's the choice, and he has enough technique to execute it. I mean, we can talk about Catherine Bigelow and Hard Locker. Hard Locker, she's an incredible director.
That came out, and it was its own thing.
I was there, and I was like, okay, that's me for the rest of my life. I don't want tripods. I want the camera to do this. That's it.
People often point to that movie as almost ruining handheld because after that, it became like mandatory for handheld shots in movies, and people were taking it so far. Like, I can't remember there was some movie that came out after that. I felt like it was a Jamie Foxx movie with him in the Middle East. Oh, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, it inspired an entire movement after.
So you're a music guy, you're going to like this. This is Nirvana all over again. Nirvana told everybody that if you had a guitar and you had a garage, you can make a band.
Uh-huh.
But that doesn't mean like that. They were geniuses that just happened to embrace that style. But that doesn't mean that you can replicate it without the technique.
Yes.
So a lot of guys said, handheld, fuck it, let's go crazy. But no, there is a reason behind it. There's a technique that you have to control to be able to tell the story. And there are a lot of people that got it right. From the J.J. Abrams, remember Star Trek, to Fruitvale Station, and all these movies that, like The Wrestler, Place Beyond the Pines, all those movies had this crazy handheld, and they're all incredible. And many of those guys actually came from documentaries. How do you want to do that as a segue? Roger Deakins.
Oh,
documentary.
the Deakins God. Okay. Should we move into Lebowski?
No, we got to go in the last video. The last thing I want to cover up this
Bring
whole thing is what would be your ultimate goal on what you want to be able to do within esports, or do you feel like you're already there and just need to do a touch more to be in that spot? Like, what do you think is the end goal for you in
That's a
esports?
good question. My end goal is to be happy.
Okay.
And I want to define my own happiness by my own standards. I still get a lot of shit from my movie people. They're saying, "Oh, dude, you're working in esports now. You're such a failure." I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I still get it, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes the ego hurts a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm a member of the Producer Guild of America, so I go to all this screening and these Oscar parties, and I go to CAA, which I was with them before, and when you go there, suddenly it's like, dude, you make YouTube videos, and I love it. So what I want to do is, I feel that I have the two elements that I think that I bring to the industry is that I understand movie industry, I understand entertainment, I understand storyteller, but I'm enough of a nerd to be able not to understand what's going on. So my main objective is to make it palatable, digestible, and understandable, so I can get people that are outside my little box to be able to consume and share this experience for us. I want to be able to include new people, because you guys have an incredible ecosystem here, but that ecosystem is still a box. So, like I was telling you before, I have an LA Valiant box, and then I have an Overwatch box, and then I have an Immortals box, and then I have a Gamers box, FPS Gamers box, and then I have American box. Like, how can I make something that, instead of bouncing between my own little box, that can transcend the box?
Yeah.
That requires technique, it requires a little bit different storylines, but it also requires a lot of exposition. You have to tell people.
Yeah, I love
what's
the
going
way
on.
you think about that. It's such a interesting, like, angle to take on audience, right? And who you're talking to, which is very important to understand in any filmmaking, whether you're making a vlog on YouTube or you're making $1 million movie. You have to understand your audience.
Absolutely.
Who are you talking to? Why are you saying these things? And what are they going to take out of them? And it's interesting to have somebody like you in this field now, because there's this weird thing in esports. You have people that want to work in it, that are from esports, but they don't have the talent, right? So they're like, put me in, coach, I'll do whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And they're super hungry, but they just don't have anything. And then there's people that are coming here that don't know anything about esports, but they have a talent. They're a filmmaker. They are a writer. They are a caster. Whatever they're doing logistics, project management. Who cares? Whatever, you know? You are a rare breed of somebody who is from what I would call, the, not to be offensive, the Hollywood invasion of esports, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, which a lot of people don't like. But you're a guy who is also core. Like, you're hardcore. Like, you played Dota. You know the scene. You were a fan of it before it became gigantic. And that is like a super rare person that I think is going to... Why you're seeing so much success right now and why you will continue to see success is because you're able to understand all these different markets and all these different people who are trying to take in this content, and you can speak to them, which is... It's hard for people that are... If you're a hardcore player and you're just talking to that audience, like, you're never going to do anything bigger. And if you're an outside person, you're never going to connect with the core audience. So
Thank you.
It's an interesting perspective.
I'm also paid my dues, and I'm still paying them. For a year, I was working with Evil Geniuses, and I was very, very, very lucky that I was able to get into such a top org from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to build anything to get there. So while I was paying my dues, it was still super awesome and exhilarating, and I was able to tell a story that I've always been passionate about. But I didn't come here and from day one I was like, okay, dude, I'm doing Life of a Genius, you guys move out of the way. No, I made videos by myself with Peter, videos by myself with Clinton, videos by myself with Sinoto, videos by myself with Krishy, videos by myself for X amount of years.
Yeah.
So, sorry, X amount of months. I did like 25 videos before anything that I wanted to do actually happen.
Yeah.
And when I did it, that's why it was so complicated, because when I went to Immortals, I still had episodes to do for Life of a Genius. And that was heartbreaking because I really wanted to finish the show. But it was too good an opportunity to leave.
Yeah, you definitely elevated the show. It was
Shots fired.
I find Evil Geniuses, a lot of the content they put out is not necessarily what I want to watch, just because of whatever. But I do think that you were able to tap into that team in a different way, and that series became much more interesting.
Yeah. You don't want to feel like people are just doing it because EG's so popular and people want to see our tour outside the
whatever
computer.
He's
it's
doing.
like, this is easy. I'll just shoot the players walking around, and people are like, yeah, that's what they look like outside computers. I'll watch. But, to make it something entertaining and something captivating and make you want to see more of them away from the computer, that's a challenge.
I would say I'm only as good as the team that I work with, and you guys know
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I have an incredible editor. I had incredible support from Phil, from Kelby, and from all the EG guys.
Kelby, yeah.
Yeah, and
Kelby.
so with that unconditional support and people helping you all the time, and I have a designer called Kevin, you can do things.
You know what's funny? When you first started making content with EG, I was asking around, like, who's doing this? Who's making this? Who is doing this? And it was so funny. They were, like, hiding you. They wouldn't tell me. I don't know if they thought I was going to poach you or something, but they would just say, everybody would just say,
a lot of poaching,
everybody would just, this industry is, people are very afraid of poaching. So they would just say, it's Peter's friend. That's what I knew you for like 6 months. I had no idea your background. Nobody would tell me. Nobody. That's what they would call you. They said, that's Peter's friend.
I don't know if he thinks that we're friends right now, but yeah.
Well, everybody's in a very different world. Have you noticed how fast esports moves? It's crazy,
does.
right? It's like you have a 3-month cycle is how I think it is.
Yeah.
And esports works like dog years almost, but it's like instead of 7 years, it's like 1 year's 10 years is how I kind of think about it. And it's hard to keep up with sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was Peter's friend, and then I became Phil's friend, and now I'm Noah's friend. Now, look, I'm super excited. Now I have a bigger team that I had in a very long time. Yeah. I have 6 people. We have 2 incredible
you guys
editors.
Have 6 people.
We have 2 shooters, and I'm hiring 4 more people. We're making a real play. Like our show is, we have a weekly show called Inside LA Valiant. We are in episode 4 on this Friday. The show, for the first time, shows the drama in a team. We show the disconnection between cultures and players and where they are and the way that they communicate. I don't think that many teams were interested in showing that, because everybody's thinking, well, I have my brand if I show this part. But Noah, I mean, that's why I was able to transition between Evil Geniuses and Immortals. Noah met with me and I said, I want you to do this. I want you to do it local because I'm in LA. My life is in LA. While in Evil Geniuses, I was traveling around. I'm going to give you the resources that you need, from crew to budgets. I need you to change the world forever.
Nice.
From once and forever. And I said, fuck it. Let's do this. And we have incredible plans. They're huge plans.
Gosh.
And
that is so lucky to be with a guy like him who is actually enabling you to do good work.
He said, you tell me what you... He said, Noah and Ari, I cannot just have without the other one, because Noah is the CEO, but Ari is the president and COO. So they operate in conjunction.
Yeah. It's like ours, David and David, yeah.
I said, this is where I am. This is where you guys are right now. I like this, that you have to do a real assessment of where you are in day one. You literally put it on the paper. Where do you want to be in 6 months? Where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 2 years? Cool. I'll get back to you guys. If you need to hit those things, this is what I need to hit weekly, daily. Mm-hmm. This is the things that I need. I need this budget. I need this moment. I need this. I need this support. I need you to fight the players that don't want to talk to me in the camera. I need you to be fully 100% with me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we can have creative disagreement. Just don't have them in front of the players.
Yeah.
In front of the players.
That's a huge important thing to understand.
We're one. We're this, and we know that we have everything with you.
Yep.
And good. They bought into it completely. I bought into what they wanted to do. And I hope that... What is my dream? You ask me, what do I want to say? I want to say that in 10 years, I was one of the guys helping making this mainstream. I'm not going to be the guy, because I will be very arrogant, because there's a lot of people like you guys, like us internally. They're PGL doing incredible things. There's you guys doing as another services. Then we have inside So we need all of us together.
Yeah.
I just want to be part of that club.
Yeah.
In 10 years, I'm going to be like, these are the guys or girls that were able to change the world forever.
Well, Overwatch is the mainstream train. You're on that train. Can I ask you,
go ahead.
are you afraid sometimes of dealing, because like Overwatch League has now been notoriously hard on coming down on organizations and players for behavior stuff, or basically anything that I think Overwatch League and Blizzard finds to be off-brand for them.
Yep.
And they're very serious about that
And
stuff.
they better should. They should.
Yeah, I think that they are holding new standards, and that's very important. Are you ever nervous with your content? Is there oversight from them? Are they forcing you guys to do anything differently than you would, or kind of?
I know it's going to sound like one of those cheesy PR answers. I think it's a culture within the team. You have you have a CEO that permutates, and his personality leaks in through the team.
Mm-hmm.
He is an extremely thoughtful, extremely open-minded, caring person, human. So he will never allow those behaviors to happen inside our organization. So we don't need Blizzard to come and crash and break the door and say, what are you guys doing? Noah himself would never allow it.
But with your content, like you're putting out, like we talked about, drama,
People argue.
what is kind of controversial,
Yeah.
And not necessarily what anybody else is doing in the league, which is setting you apart, but maybe even setting you up to be kind of like come down on. Are you at all nervous about that?
Blizzard's gonna be like, our players don't fight; they're all angels.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Look, again, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I can read contracts. I can read guidelines. You give me the guidelines, I'm gonna find the cracks through them.
Yeah.
You tell me where the limits are, and I'm gonna figure out how to operate within your limits.
Yeah.
I don't need you to change your limits for me, but I'm gonna read them. I'm in the org. We work through those limits, and we figure out, okay, well, if you have access to these, then I own these. So now that's what I'm gonna show, and I don't live through fear.
Mm-hmm.
Do I feel sometimes that they're
Watching.
they are?
They're just right there.
They are, and I think that they're very good. They're very good at what they do, and they should be able to watch, because if not, this game has a specific things that they're trying to achieve. They want a franchise, and they want a franchise around the world, and the only way
and everything,
the only way that you franchises, you need audiences, you need to build audience, you need to build franchises with younger people, you need to make this a family-friendly place, and they need to control it.
That is the thing that I didn't understand about Overwatch League at first, that as soon as I started paying attention and the league kind of kicked in a couple weeks in, I realized, oh, wait. This isn't about like core audience, like 20 to 30. This is about like kids and teenagers. And I get it now. And they just like,
people
everything
up
changed.
into it.
You know, like, everything changed. And I started seeing the kids showing up at the venue and wearing the jerseys. And you're like, oh, yeah, of course. If I was that age and this was happening, oh, my God. Because there is, Dota, whether it's Dota, whether it's CSGO, there is a huge wall for young kids. Yeah. And I think it's a big problem that both these games haven't really realized yet, is that they've put up a huge wall between the audience that is watching them now and the next generation, and that in a couple of years they're going to be very sad that they didn't open up those gates. And Overwatch is going to be very happy when those 11-year-olds are turning 16 and 18 and they're still into this and they're growing up with that as the thing that they love, and they're going to be happy to see the other games suffer,
If you were a dad and you had a 12-year-old, where do you want your dad to take you?
Yeah.
To the Overwatch League.
Yeah. It's like when I was like 10 and I was like, Dad, take me to wrestling. He's like, no fucking way, But he might take me to go see like a Nickelodeon show, which is like very much more in the vein of what Overwatch League's like, safety level is, It's a gorgeous product. It's well put together, very well branded, amazing merchandise. Like, it's a package. If you're a dad and you don't get it,
They're
is fine.
They're doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Everybody might not get it right on the first time, but they're doing everything they need to do to make sure that they get it right on the second time. Like, there's a lot of very, very smart people in that organization.
I agree.
Trying to figure out.
Yeah, we've
Very
talked
smart.
with a lot of the esports people through the last years. They were developing it, and they are very conscious of
Very good.
everything.
I mean, they weren't cherry picking, They literally went and took
Of course.
the people that they wanted to be there.
Why would you not, though? So they have money, and they have influence, and it's Blizzard. Nobody's going to say no to them. And when they're going to try really hard at something, people are going to want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So you can bring in, anybody you want, really. They had their choice. They looked at the bounty of esports and said, who do we want?
I still feel more passionate about Dota than I feel about Overwatch. I watch any game, whoever is playing of Dota. I follow casters. I follow studios. With Overwatch, I follow my team. So my relationship with Overwatch is more like my relationship with professional sports.
Okay.
I am a Patriots fan, so when the Patriots play, I watch it. But my relationship with Dota is I watch everything.
That's interesting.
No matter who's there. I run Grand casting. I watched Kyle yesterday with him. I watch you guys. You have Mineski against Happy Feet at 5 a.m.
You are core.
And I'm watching. I'm like, go Mineski.
Yeah.
You know?
The game's great, right?
I love it. It's just such an exciting world. Like I go to bed. I'm 32 years old, and I go to bed every night with an iPad, headphones, and watching Dota.
Yeah.
Every night.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah, dude, that's
33
awesome.
and Twitch TV is like pretty much my television now.
I was in Japan making a film, and everybody knows me because of the Dota guy, because every night I will go to bed with the iPad in Japan watching Dota.
Isn't that the best part about Dota is that it's 24/7 because it's so globalized?
Yep. If you like the sport, it's 24/7. If you only follow a team, it's not 24/7.
Yeah.
Because I like all of them.
Exactly. And
I'm
that's how I
fine.
got into it, is late night editing. So editing, and we would be doing these late night crazy things and other events, and Chinese and SEA Dota was on, and Beyond the Summit was doing it. And that is what hooked me, is just, especially back then when the East was so separated from us, and you didn't really know anything, any little detail you could grab onto. You were so excited, and half the time the servers were so shit that the games were like lagging while they were playing.
Whoa. Are
but it
you
was
trying to
fun.
say that Perfect World servers are not great?
Oh my God, we're
They're
not
great.
It's a perfect world.
We like you guys.
The
Okay.
walls of fire. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so from family-friendly content,
Oh,
I
yeah.
said we could have an hour, and
we got
hit it
we got to get to the
perfectly.
movie.
I'm sure people
Let's
are
do
like,
this.
Very
when are
not
they gonna talk about the
family-friendly.
Lebowski? Yeah.
Big Lebowski, your movie of choice. So happy you chose it.
Yeah,
one of
best
my
movie.
favorites. He's never seen it.
I saw it
Boo,
now.
boo.
We got to catch the trailer, but first,
let's
why did you insist that we do this movie?
I think look, I think there's having a perfect movie is a subjective experience. So this is my perfect movie. This is what I
wow.
believe is the one or two or three perfect movies for me. Funny enough, these directors have two of them. They have this and they have Fargo. So for me, those two are the perfect movies. This represents everything that I like about character development, about a story, about a style. It's a mixture between comedy and heist and drama. And it's the story. It's not an ensemble. It's a really a one-person story. You never
He's in every shot.
in every shot because you see the story how he sees it, even when he has the headphones and he's listening to that. So this is the movie that I would like to say I did it myself, the one, and I tried to do it and I didn't do it well enough. With mine, my movie was not as funny. My movie was not as appealing. My movie was not as well constructed, and I like comedies. I think it's easier to make somebody cry than make somebody laugh constantly.
Okay.
So this is the perfect movie.
Nice. Let's check out the trailer for The Big Lebowski.
Let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. You know, that or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Are you employed, Mr. Lebowski?
Employed?
Do you like sex, Mr. Lebowski?
Is this your only ID? You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude.
Your name's Lebowski, Lebowski.
Jeff Lebowski, the other Lebowski, the millionaire.
I received this ransom note this morning.
This is the bummer, man.
They want you to take the money and act as courier.
What do you mean, man? What the hell is this?
My dirty onions did it. The white.
I don't know.
Take that hill! Why should we settle for 20 grand when we can keep the entire million?
I know you're mixed up in all this.
Playing one side against the other in bed with everybody.
Blow on them.
Huh?
Fabulous stuff. What? Who's sitting on $1 million? We want some money.
Sitting in the trunk of our car.
Where's my damn money?
Peter Stormare?
Say, dude,
I want it for my movie.
where is your car?
Who's got your
but
undies,
he was
Walter?
right. And I also wanted him, Walter.
This is a very
And I also
complicated
wanted
case,
him to
Maud. You know, a lot of ins, a lot of outs.
Is this your homework, Larry?
And I would like my undies back.
A lot of strands to keep in my head, man.
Whoa! Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here, huh?
I like your style, dude.
I have no choice but to tell these bums to do whatever is necessary to recover their money from you.
They were Nazis, dude?
They were nihilists, man. They kept saying they believed in nothing.
You figured, oh, here's a loser, you know, a deadbeat.
Well, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
And not drag this negative energy into the tournament.
Jeffrey,
Bond,
love me.
that's my robe.
I'm throwing rocks tonight.
It don't matter to Jesus. This could be a lot more complex. I mean, it's not just, it might not be just such a simple, you know?
I think that scene in the truck is like the
Oh,
entire
it's like the
movie.
monologue?
That monologue is
It's
the
a monologue
entire
of
movie.
nothing.
Yeah.
Dude, there's more information. Yeah. Dude.
Information has come to light. And that's the whole movie. If I like sum it up, is that it is really, it's a movie about nothing. Like, you know?
You finish it.
Whoa. Okay.
Like nothing of consequence, or like, it's very complicated, but nothing matters. Like, so, okay. I'm going to say why I love this movie. The first time I watched this movie, I was in grade school. My friend, Mike, at the time, his parents were cool with us watching R-rated movies, and we watched this on his computer, and he had the DVD of this. I mean, first off, we watched the boob scene like 500 times probably.
Of course.
As we were at grade school. And all I could remember is it reminded me of all the movies I watched growing up. When I was a little kid, my dad watched all these old detective movies. Charlie Chan, you know, anything with Humphrey Bogart, all these old serialized detective movies. And this movie resonated with me in that way, that it was like everything I loved about comedy and like cool, and then wrapped up in this like old gumshoe narrative that just, but it wasn't a gumshoe. He's like a detective who's not a detective, you know? I mean, there's moments where he has very smart stuff, but that is why I loved it, because it felt like all that stuff that I watched growing up. When did you first see the movie, and why did you kind of fall for it?
I was introduced to this movie when I was around 17. I changed neighborhoods, and I got in with another cool kids, and they showed me this movie, and they had this ritual where they will like drink White Russian. In Spain, by the way, it was legal to drink when you were 16. Completely different place. And I saw it the first time. I was like, what is going on in this movie?
Yeah.
Like, such a weird movie.
It's weird.
And then I saw it again, and then I fell. It was a sensation of falling. I fell in love with this movie, and I fell in love with the dude. And what you said is genius. There's no stakes in this movie. There's the stakes are there, and they have a plot engine to move the story forward. Somebody stole this guy's rock, and this rock tied the room together.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's
The
it.
rock.
And then everything else is like
What
imagined.
Is everyone just like, I know most people don't look at this guy and they're like, well, that's me. You know, I want to relate to this guy, or I relate to this guy because I'm just a nobody. I'm sure most people are like, or is it more, I would love to be so carefree as this guy. He just lives his life and does his thing.
I don't think that this movie works because people relate to the main character.
No.
Yeah, certainly not.
That's what I meant like before, but I said about technique. So the easy way to make a movie is I gave you a relatable character, a guy that is saving puppies, a guy that is visiting old ladies in the hospital and bringing them soup. And then something awful happens to him. And then he has to go to Act 2 to try to figure out how he's going to solve that.
Yeah.
This movie is a bum who is doing nothing with his life but
Unemployed.
and somebody steals his fucking rock.
And you're just like, I want to see what he does. How the hell is he even going to try to get that back with nothing?
I mean for the ride. And then it's like, well, they were trying to steal the rug because it was another Lebowski. Genius. And that's it. That's enough to put that's the story engine for the whole movie.
Which the Big Lebowski title is not referring actually to the dude. It's to the other Lebowski.
Right?
The Big Lebowski himself, who we find out is kind of manipulating this whole situation in a couple of ways.
What do you like this movie though?
as a first timer.
Well, the funny thing is, like, yeah, I went in and I had only known what everyone else puts out there on the internet about the movie, which is actually a lot of the movie. You know, all the memes, all the quotes, well, that's just your opinion, man. Like, when he said that, I was like saying in my head, like, I've heard this line so many times before, and I'm like, there it is.
With a beeper.
Yeah, he's rocking. He's so excited that he's got a beeper.
You know, John Goodman's character of just like, am I the only one around here that wants to follow the rules? And now it's like turned into, am I the only one around here where blah, 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 blah. And
John Goodman character is...
It's
just one of my favorite characters ever.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's so annoying too. And he's one of those characters you can be annoying because he does so many wrong things. Like, he drives a lot of the action in this movie because of stupid things he does. It's funny. The dude is really, in a strange thing, and what you might say is not a very powerful character trait, the dude drives very little action. He just kind of watches it, you know, and allows these other forces to manipulate what's happening to him. Particularly,
mess it up. Yeah.
I'm gonna go on a limb. You saw my movie.
I didn't get to watch it. I didn't get to watch it.
Well, if you watch my movie, Milo's character has never control over anything that is happening in his life.
Everybody else does.
Everybody else does. So I, in a way, I'm not gonna say copy, but I made an homage about this movie because I have a main character who is in a specific situation, and everything else is spun by the other catalysts in the story that are moving him.
Yeah, and I like the way they do it in this. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think people can say that about. It's like an easy thing to poke. Oh, your character isn't driving the action.
Nope.
It's like, who cares? Yep. The character's part of it. He's witnessing it. He's commenting on it.
And there's so many other forces. And even as you go through the movie, it's like, okay, it's this carpet deal. It belongs to Lebowski. Now this Lebowski character is getting involved. And then you find out he has a wife or a lady who's potentially just in it for the money and wants to, like, ransom herself.
Dude,
or what's
she
the fuck's that
kidnapped herself,
about?
man.
So,
she
like,
kidnapped herself.
And you're like, the dude is like a detective now or something. What's happening
It's
here?
very Chinatown. It's very Gumshoe, where he goes from, you know, he is in, like, the bottom of the, like, economic scale, right? And Lebowski's at the top, and he kind of goes all the way through town and it hits all these different people. And it's so... I love that. Like, the one script I wrote is a detective story about like, it's basically a ripoff of this, where it's a dad and a son who get thrown into a thing and they go all around town. Because I just love that kind of idea of meeting all these interesting characters and, like, solving a mystery through being, like, an idiot. Like, and like, I don't. It's great.
They're called Chandelier movies. Chandeliers is the story. It's the story of how these people get together and they go on a journey, and the journey never comes back. They go from place A to place B.
Okay.
And that's the story. It's a road. It's a road movie. It's a road trip movie.
Yeah, it's like a road trip movie.
Look,
but through LA.
Why I think this movie is brilliant is the dialogue, and is the acting, is the music, is the directors did a great job creating a world that was believable. It's populated by crazy people.
Yeah, even though the characters are so on their own, make no sense.
But what is it called? It's crazy enough, but it's stable enough that it makes sense within that ecosystem. They introduce a world that you believe it. The suspension of misbelief.
Suspension of disbelief. I was trying to remember that last episode, and everybody's yelling at me in chat. So you got it. Good job.
That if I can believe that a radioactive spider bites you, you become Spider-Man. Okay, I'm gonna believe it.
Yeah. Then the rest of it just makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah.
They hate with that tone in this movie so early with the narrator right off the bat. He's like, sometimes there's a man, he's a dude.
Yeah.
And that's the dude.
And
I forgot what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Straight up like, I don't know where I was going,
he's
but
buying milk and
there he is.
Sells a check of $1.
Yeah, but he's not. It's like 67 cents, and then he's got the fucking half and half on his mustache.
So it's welcome to the movie, you know?
Yeah.
This dude's wearing a robe in a grocery store, paying with 69-cent checks.
Yeah, and what that's a. I mean, the Coen brothers are unbelievable directors, but they're able to just, like, say nothing and tell you all that. I mean, obviously the narrator is telling you a lot, but that's another detective homage where normally you'd have the detective himself, but this is how incompetent the dude is,
right?
And
smokes,
yeah, and you'd hear
I was there in the case when the woman was murdered.
Yeah, that dame is a crazy gal, you know, but the dude is so incompetent that there has to be another person that actually does the narration, and it's just crazy cowboy character who, again,
straight Tombstone,
out of context, makes no sense. Like, why is there a cowboy drinking sarsaparilla telling us the story of the dude? Is he real?
I thought he was like kind of gay for the dude. You see the way he looks at him? He's like, that's the dude. The dude abides.
You know why Batman has Robin? Because if not, Batman could not talk to anybody. Why does Batman has Alfred? Because otherwise Batman could not talk to anybody. So the only way to externalize thoughts that they have internal is either through voiceover or to having characters. That
Sounding
cowboy,
boards.
that cowboy there is literally so you understand what is going through the dude's mind. It's the
inner
only way
monologue
that the
coming out.
audience
Yeah.
connects with his inner thoughts.
Yeah. And his friends, who are extremely like a big contrast almost to what he is, are able to like pull those things out of him. Especially, I keep forgetting his character name, but John Goodman's character, Walter, just being such a loose cannon is going to force the dude to react. And the thing is you're anticipating going to this movie, and the dude is just like, I don't fucking care. But there are moments when he does show that he cares, like when he thinks that she's going to possibly die. Like he gets the toe back, and he's like, they're going to kill her, man. Like he actually cared. So it's nice character depth to be like a guy who is just so carefree the whole time, but then he can still show emotion.
What this movie is legendary is because it's the amount of layers that they have. You know the Shrek and the onion? Ogres are like onions. They have layers, and you break them up. This is the same thing. This guy is painting his toenails there.
Yeah.
This guy is like, look at how many things they're happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So the famous scene where the dude is playing, he comes back and he starts talking about it, and his Walter is convincing him to do all this stuff. Those are 2 shots only. But he was able to orchestrate the scene where there's one camera shot that follows them all the way through, and then the reverse on Walter. And he's have the whole beat of and the Beatles and the Beatles and the Beatles and the Walrus. Remember the Walrus moment, the Lenin?
Wait, which scene are we in? Hold on, you're moving around.
They are playing there, and it's the moment where they say, Donnie, you're out of your fucking element, man.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Donnie. Okay, so that...
Shut the fuck up, Donnie!
That scene is just a perfect engineered scene. And I know it looks like there are dumbasses on camera and there's dumbasses behind the camera. That is perfection. They said, this is what we're going to do. This is the tone. This is how we're going to create the lines. They were able to create the characters. They were able to create a cinematography by the guy that just did Blade Runner and won the Oscar. Yeah. This is a perfect orchestrated movie. They just chose to make it like that.
Deakins does a terrific job making the world, the regular world we see, he shoots it in the way he'd shoot another movie. He takes it just as seriously. And then you have the dream sequences, which are like hyper stylized and crazy and all over the place and like visually like stuff that you're like. My favorite shot is when the little shadow comes out and he's a little miniature version of himself. You know, I love that shot. I love that. And then I love the big musical ensemble. I know you like that too, but like the staircase.
We actually have a clip of it, but just how time's going. Kevin, if you want to roll it without sound, we can kind of have it in the background while it's
the
going
music
right
in this
now.
movie is wonderful.
It's great.
Yeah, I don't think I appreciated that as a kid. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, Jackie Treehorn presents.
Yeah, suddenly we're in the porn world,
bum, bum.
You know? And then the entire thing comes back to that. I think what was also interesting is that there is a decent amount of CGI in this movie, which is not normal for the Coen brothers. And they use it in a way to make sure you know it's CGI, I feel like, you know? None of it...
Yeah, it's like a dream sequence, I feel like, when it is often used, and he's just...
Yeah, that's my shot. That's like my favorite shot from this. It's so good. Like, that's... And again, I feel like you said, this is one of those movies that you make... You watch and you're jealous you didn't make it and you couldn't make something like this. You just feel like it's just almost impossible. Like, because I don't even think they realize what they're making. And I read an interview last night with the Coen brothers saying that they actually don't even think it's as good as like the fans think it is, and it doesn't mean as much to them as their other movies.
I mean, there are people making religions with tons of people being the dude and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a duderism or something like that.
Yeah, the dudism or something like that. There is certainly like a religion. And
I mean, if you're going to have a religion, that doesn't sound like a bad one to have, you know?
Yeah, it's like, but I know, it's like, it does make me believe, like, did I miss that boat? I'm maybe watching it a bit late, and it's like, I'm not about to run out and make a religion, but you have to watch it, I guess, and like really take it in.
It's like Zoolander. Zoolander was so bad when I first watched it, and then you watch it 40 times, and you're like, I understand the movie now. The Big Lebowski gets better every time you watch it.
I also think that you have to also understand the circumstances. This is after Vietnam. It's a specific epocha in America, an era where everybody's taking themselves too seriously, and they're telling you have to go to school, otherwise you're going to be nothing. You have to go like this. This is the idea of this power New York shark. You need to be a shark. And then they made a story about a dude that eats in and out, and this is him. So it was a huge break, a very ambitious project for them to do it. Like literally think about it. This is the New York shark era of making
Wall
money
Street,
and
yeah.
Wall
Yeah.
Street, and I don't know.
They just go almost the opposite way with it.
Yeah, even in Hollywood, the reflection of what was going on in the industry at that time. And a lot of that movie is exactly what you're saying. There's a ton of commentary on Vietnam. Obviously, Walter is a Vietnam vet, but the secret thing that you might not notice is that the dude is actually a protester of Vietnam. So he mentions at one point he's part of the Seattle 7, who were like a very famous like hardline war protesters who were like, and that is, see, it makes sense when you start thinking about a lot of the stuff that he's done and what he stands for. And he's not, he's a pacifist, right? And they talk about pacifism.
Okay, look, dude, I was tended by pacifism, okay? Never in Vietnam, Like, that's a line that Walter says.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm okay being pacifist unless I have to actually punch someone. Then I don't want to be a pacifist.
And it's like they've had that conversation 100 times, right? It's like, we're not talking about this again, Like, it's not the way.
It's a great point.
Whatever. But there's even bowling, the choice of bowling. That's a very 60s era kind of relaxation. And it's an activity that you can, like, it lives in the mind of Americans as something that's very Americana.
Like early 90s. Dude, my whole family was into bowling. It was like a Long Island thing. I bowled from 6 to 17. I was in a bowling league. And I had a good 180 average. I was all right, but that's what it looked like. That's what my bowling alley looked like. It was just
but I think
cigars and beers.
I think that the comeback of like bowling came from movies. You had Kingpin and like that 90s era, because I was a part. I remember that too. Like I was going to the bowling alley when I was a kid, and
So did I, yeah.
I think that movies often help influence culture and bring things back into style.
Look at Taken. Nobody wants to go to Europe anymore.
Well,
What's going on?
Hostel,
yeah.
Right? Hostel is like, oh shit,
I wanna
don't
make a statement.
go to Eastern Europe.
People that are watching, Europe is awesome. We're fine,
You won't lose your
America's
daughter.
way more dangerous.
I especially Eastern Europe. I was in Hungary last summer. My God, Budapest is an amazing city.
It's amazing.
What the fuck? It's like
Amazing.
they're not telling us about that.
No, they don't want you guys.
It is like this old,
It's like the esports all over
gorgeous
again.
city. Yeah, it's like gatekeeping, right?
Yeah.
It's this old, gorgeous city that has been modernized and like exists in this beautiful contrast of ornate architecture and old world decadence with like streamlined internet-based modern aesthetic inside. You know?
Much that.
Wow.
Go there.
Yeah, it's
I
beautiful.
would. I haven't been enough to
I
Europe.
think the government of Hungary should hire you to write the reviews.
Hey, I love them. I love them. I spent a good
Have you
time
been to
there.
Bucharest?
Yeah.
So I made a movie.
Oh,
in
not
Bucharest.
Bucharest. No, I've never been.
So
to
I
Bucharest.
made a movie in Bucharest, in Romania.
Yeah.
And I got to spend a lot of time there, and I love it.
You've been to Bucharest?
Yeah, I mean we're there on casting work, so we don't really get a lot of time to go out and see Bucharest. But
That's
yeah,
where
it was
PGL
great.
is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Lebowski.
Lebowski.
Back
okay.
to freaking Lebowski here.
You guys
I just want to bring up that scene just because it was my favorite scene, the paper scene. I feel like it just caught me so off guard. It's just like puts you back in check, because how that scene opens is like, okay, here's another big reveal. We got the porn king here,
Here
and
he
he's about
is.
to bring in some new information, and then the whole scene gets serious. Like you're about to get a big breakthrough, and then you're reminded that this is just a big Lebowski.
It does
dude.
seem serious. I think that's interesting that you picked that up, because I feel like it was something that I didn't think about until yesterday when I was reviewing this, was the close-up that they start the scene with. Really, there's not really anything not like that in the movie, and it totally grabs you, and you're like, because he walks off. It's this weird party scene. It's night, so it's a whole different mood. He walks from far and walks right into the camera and addresses Lebowski, and you are suddenly like, oh, I need to pay attention, And then there's this whole very serious, and the dude seems very on top of his shit, and he's for the first time like confident that he knows what's going on, and here everything is happening, and he makes a smart move,
we gotta
right?
watch this shit.
So
It's like,
this is wow, the real detective stuff is happening.
Okay, the dude's kind of smart here.
Excuse me.
Awesome.
The architecture in this.
And the sweater? Same sweater?
He does the extra
Yeah,
swipe.
he does
like,
one more. Like
there's got to be
maybe
something else,
there's
right?
no.
He just takes that with
So
him.
look, like remember you were talking about this is the Chinatown. This is a guy that eventually is gonna become the detective. You know?
Yeah.
It's like it's a normal guy. We've seen hundreds of movies like this. It's a normal guy that has a pastry or was like a shoe leather, and then he's thrown into this mystery, and now he has to resolve it.
Mhm.
So this is the moment where he finally is like, no, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stand up for my own destiny.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Take control.
Yeah. He has the most brilliant moment. It was like, yeah, that's the moment that you suddenly see the phone number, and then he goes, and that expands you into a whole third act.
Let's go.
Where we're going, and we know how the solution.
Nope.
And then, bam.
Right back. But then, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and it totally. I mean, it just takes your conceptions of what this scene should be and flips it. And nope, no, he got drugged. Actually, he's a dumbass. Actually, he's got to start over. You know.
And then they have like that parking lot moment later, and you're like, oh, it's fine. And then fucking Donnie.
They killed Donnie.
Donnie.
What do you
Oh,
think
we're just
about
reading.
that? Do you think Donnie needed to die?
I was caught. I didn't know
Donnie
he
had
dies
to
in the
die.
movie.
I think that
Donnie had to die.
I feel like that was just the Coen brothers loving to kill that actor. Steve Buscemi?
Yeah.
He died at the end of every movie. It's like a running gag with them.
I feel that what Donnie's death meant for me in this movie is that finally somebody has to pay the consequences.
There are consequences.
And finally, the guy that has to pay the consequences, like in war, is the innocent bystander.
The only guy that has nothing to do with anything.
The innocent bystander. So he is the lovable guy that he doesn't do any harm to anybody.
He's lovable because like you have Goodman just yelling at him the
Shut
whole time.
the
You're
fuck
like,
up, Donnie.
Dude, what did Donnie do, man?
I'm like, dude,
what
I have
did Donnie do?
money. Here you go. Just take it.
Oh,
I have $20.
Yeah, right away,
it's like,
right
I
away.
don't care. I'm just a pacifist, man.
You know the shut the fuck up Donnie stuff is so the Coen brothers have like this Coen universe, you know, and like that is all basically because his character in Fargo never stops talking.
Yeah.
And so when they're saying shut the fuck up Donnie, they're actually talking to the other character.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That was
There you
that's
go.
what the Coen brothers says about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
And yeah, they also said like because at the end of that movie he dies, he ends up like dismembered and all that stuff, and then another one of the movies he's burned or something, and now he turns into ashes. But I always found it strange that he died. I just felt very it's the only consequence in a movie that has no consequences, and it definitely seems like if we're gonna tie in Vietnam, it makes sense.
The innocent has to die.
The innocent has to die.
So a story I have for you guys there.
Okay.
I was in school and I was doing a play, and in the play I was like a town, the how do you call it, the mayor of a town, and
Mayor, okay.
one of the guys in the movie in the play died, so I had a funeral scene. So I changed the lines and I said the whole speech that Walter said.
What? Bold man.
Impromptu. So I had nobody knew what the hell I was saying, but a bunch of guys in the corner just died laughing.
Is that the whole Walter moment with the can or whatever?
The whole kind.
Oh my god.
So that was I changed the lines and I said that lines.
That's
And
hilarious.
a strange story for you.
Did your director just
For the first 20 years of my life, I watched this movie in Spanish.
Really?
Yep. El Notas. It's not the dude, it's El Notas.
El what?
El Notas.
El
Notas?
Notas.
Yes.
Notas?
So
How is the voice acting?
it was so great. But when I started getting more into English and I started going to school and I learned, I suddenly rediscovered this movie all over again. Because the jokes are different, the voices are
Wow.
different, the acting is different. So now I can never go back and see the Spanish movie. But the Spanish version is the one that I have seen 100 times.
Yeah.
maybe.
Make sure you're talking to this. Sorry, I don't
Sorry.
know. You can grab it.
Okay.
You can move it around.
I'm gonna be grabbing it. So yeah, I thought it was incredible, and I learned this movie in Spanish. So even when I have to think about the lines, I have to some of them translate them.
Oh, that's so
because
funny.
all this movie was in Spanish for me.
God, that's so bizarre.
Donnie, no estás en tu elemento. Like that is the Donnie you're out of your
So
element.
like, cállate.
Yeah.
That's great.
Dude, I've never had that experience. I've watched movies in other languages because I think it's like for whatever reason, Team America, World Police, I've watched in every single language.
Really?
It's actually amazing. It's amazing because it makes sense because they're puppets, so the dubs never feel weird,
Yeah.
and it is always interesting to hear the other takes on the movie. And
That's
even when I
awesome.
don't understand what they're saying, just that kind of bringing that different culture into the movie totally makes it a different thing. It's very interesting.
They
but
change the jokes sometimes because some jokes only work geographically.
yeah. Whether it's a language thing and it doesn't actually make sense when
Yeah.
they translate it, or
Or a
it is
cultural thing, yeah.
cultural thing, and they have no idea the reference or whatever. But
That's awesome. Yeah. This movie again, it's
Yeah.
look at the wardrobe, look at the colors,
The characters,
the
like,
art.
to go back onto the Jesus or
Production
Jesus
design in this movie is
character,
incredible.
Like, I wanted to see more of him, so I'm happy to hear that potentially there's a spin-off for him involved.
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah, is just
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
it was hilarious. I love that his like counterpart, his teammate, is like his exact opposite. It's like a little like just
Yeah.
that white guy.
Look at
He's
the
like,
drug
he looks
dealer.
like a bowler.
So he's a coke addict. Look at the nail.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
little red
yeah,
So
nail.
he from his snorting. Like this guy is so full of texture.
The story, he's telling a story without saying anything, you know? Just by his body language, his coke nail, his rings.
And the funny thing I noticed right away is like he's one of the few people that like Walter will not snap back at. He just is like, well, he's just a creeper. He's a pedophile. Where everyone else will like freak out on him.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
He would never confront Jesus. He'd just
That's
be
true.
like, that dude's a creeper. That's it. Would not he would never. Walter's character would never yell at him, and he would never yell at the dude. Really.
So my favorite part of all the movie, my one favorite part of the movie is when he's in the car and it's like, what is that, dude? It's like, well, that's my undies. What are you gonna do with your undies? Okay, I have a plan. When we do the switch, I'm just gonna grab one of them and just
Beat him up.
Beat him up. I was like, Walter, that's stupid. No, if I learned something in Vietnam, is that a complicated plan, a lot of things can go wrong in a complicated plan. The simplicity of this plan is what makes sense. So when the guy say like, no, you throw the luggage out of the window, he's like, no, I cannot do that. Well, Walter, why don't you fucking call them and explain them? Like, explaining, nothing can go wrong, so you call them and explain them. And he jumps out of the back.
car. He just jumps out of the car.
He jumps out. It's so ridiculous.
That moment, I died when I was watching. I was like, that's it. That's it. He's giving me an hour and a half of stupid movie
Yeah.
just to get to this point. And so this will make sense.
Yeah.
That was the climax of the movie in a way. So everything that he
Because it all
set
falls
up,
apart. Yeah.
everything that he set up through an hour of the movie was so he could make this a scene and make it have sense.
And trash the every. Is that rain? Is it raining?
It
out?
is
My
raining. It
gosh.
is coming down
Sorry
in
if you can hear that in the
California right
studio. It's
now.
raining really hard. Unusual. Yeah, that scene is. And again, it's almost frustrating dealing with Walter because he's like so fucking stubborn and stupid and does these things.
Whoa.
He is.
Walter
he
is the friend that we all want to have.
No way. Who wants that
I
friend?
want. Is it
that
because
friend.
he's like he'll stick up for you?
He
Is that why?
He fucks everything up. And he's
He makes
always
life
so
interesting.
aggressive.
So
He
passionate.
makes life
aggressive.
interesting.
Everything you ask him to do, he says he's going to do, and then he doesn't, you know?
Okay. No story has ever started. No adventure has ever started with two people agreeing. You need a guy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
dude gets somebody steals his rug. He says, "Okay, the movie's finished." But you need a friend that's like, "No, dude, that
your
rug,
rug.
that's your rug."
Yeah.
You know? They
pushes him,
They
pushes
come into
him.
your house and they steal your rug.
Piss
that,
on your rug.
That rug tied the room together, and then he's like, "It did, right?
did tie the room together.
It did. You're fucking right. Yeah, Walter. Hell yeah."
Isn't it funny how that's what they get all wrapped up?
That's
and,
it.
and the entire movie is bringing up. He's just like, well, you know, it
it's
really
not
tied
about the
room
rug, okay?
together.
There's a line in the sand, you know? There's a line in the sand, and you know, Walter, what are you talking about? What I'm talking about, that's it. Is that conversation, nobody finishes a thought. I don't know if you saw it. No one finishes a thought.
Half the conversations in the movie go nowhere.
I mean, but it's real though. I mean, that's
Awesome.
that's pretty authentic to like how just things go down amongst friends who quarrel. And
That's why
stuff.
the
Like,
dialogue
people are
is
just
often
gonna-
like so celebrating this
Yeah.
movie. But sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah.
It's just it's pretty relatable. It's not. It doesn't feel scripted. It doesn't feel like they were lines read off a paper. It's like an organic, maybe possibly improvised kind of conversation that they made work.
Yeah,
Real, man.
Even things when there's one after it goes wrong, and they're bowling. I love Walter's performance there because it's so exactly what that character would do, and he's very casually like getting like
On the
it's like
phone.
nothing is happening, and the phone's just it's literally this right here. He's just standing. Walter's standing there like nothing is wrong, like everything's fine. He's like, dude, doesn't matter. She faked it. These guys are nihilists. Who cares? You know, like whatever. Or they don't know they're nihilists at that point. But
He's just and at this point, I remember watching. I'm like, I don't even know who's calling him. I don't know if it's the Lebowski guy trying to call him. I don't know if it's the supposed criminals
Yeah.
or whatever trying to call him and say, where the fuck is the money?
yeah,
It's just
either
like-
way, it's somebody
he's
he
just
doesn't
like,
want to talk to.
There's some shit happening. I don't want to deal with it.
But that's
right now."
hilarious that he keeps it. In,
Hey, dude. Hey,
so
they're
even with the
calling you.
police.
Thank you, Donnie. Your phone is ringing.
Thanks.
dude.
Yeah, as he's walking away.
Thank
hey,
you.
dude, they're calling you. Thanks, Donnie. And the cops are there, and he's still hugging onto it, but not like answering it. That cop scene is great too. That cop is
Yeah.
very funny.
They're very, and they have like he has all the drugs on the table, and they're just
Yeah,
clearly
they're like
don't
picking
give
through
a
the
shit.
weed, and it's like whatever.
What a great. And the credence.
He's just able to get away with being that kind of a person. Like no, even like because I hear a lot that there's so many scenes in this movie which didn't even really need to be there and stuff, but just add so much depth and character and showcase the dude more. Like the landlord coming and like, it's the 15th, give me the rent. He's like, I have a show though. You want to come see my show?
You have to be there. Because when you have a scene, is you either do plot or you do character development. It's either am I moving the story forward or I'm telling you something about the character. So that is scene. Look at how weird the dynamic is. Like, hey, by the way, you haven't paid me. It's been 2 weeks. Oh, man, I'm sorry. And I have this valet, so if you want to come. And the guy is like, okay, I don't pay rent, but I have to go there.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot about the dude, though. Because that guy, the landlord, loves the dude. Yeah. He clearly very much so looks up to him and respects him. And he gives him, like, the right on kind of thing, you know? And the dude is also kind of a bum. You know, he's kind of an asshole. He's not paying his rent. But like you said, there's all these things. One of my favorite things about Walter is that Walter could very easily be just an angry Vietnam vet. And that's his character. And it drives almost everything he says. But they give him this entire other story about his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And the dog. The Jewish stuff. The
Jewish
Shabbos.
Stuff. He holds on to that so he can hold on to his past relationship.
Yeah. It tells you so much more about him than anything else that they do in the movie. Is all this stuff that is ultimately kind of inconsequential to the story, but is like very important to.
This is the beautiful thing. The beautiful thing is like you guys have been talking about this movie for 20 minutes, and you're bringing new elements, completely new layers. How Walter has an ex-wife, that this wife is with another guy, and he takes care of a dog, and he takes a dog to the bowling alley, and the dude is like, dude, why are you taking Cindy's dog?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not gonna buy him a beer, okay? He's not gonna play with
that.
us.
Your place in line.
Besides, it's not a dog. This is a dog. Yada. No, you know, he has pedigree. He has. I'm like, what are we?
He's got papers, dude.
He has papers.
He's got papers, dude.
How he decides what Walter decides he's gonna get like irrationally angry over is just blows my mind. Like, but all these situations, like, you should be pissed at this shit. Like, shouldn't you be like, I don't want to fucking take care of your dog. You got like a new husband, a new deal. I don't want this. Or, you know, you should be angry at fucking Jesus for like, getting right in your face. But he's like, no, I'm cool with those things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get irrationally crazy over this fucking rug.
Because it's not him.
Smokey, you're entering a world of pain.
You cross the line, man. That's a foul.
He's insane to the things that don't. He knows there's no consequence. Again, let's talk about consequence. But the dude stuff, that's the dude shit. Ultimately, it won't affect Walter no matter what he does, really. You know.
But he cares for the dude so much. He's like, I gotta look out for him.
But it's also, it's like a way. It's like when things are going bad in your life, and you're like that's not his relationship with his wife is bad. That's not what he wants. It's a very negative thing. He can't fix that. But he can take that energy out on this other problem, on these people that he sees as like something he can fuck with, you know? Like, you know, and then the ultimate kind of like come to God moment is when the confrontation with the nihilist, with Flea, the great Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he's just like, here it is. I'm taking it all out on you guys, you know? And, like, everything comes out on them in that scene.
I was going to say, one of my favorite things of the film, no one looks like a movie star.
No.
This is not the pretty people.
No.
Like, all the Coen Brothers movies are mostly populated by people that look
ordinary.
Or even ordinary outside
or even
of LA.
Below par,
yeah. Because in LA, everybody's pretty.
Except for...
we have exceptions, yeah.
Like, there's one movie where what is it, the Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar, yes.
But that's a movie about Hollywood actors.
The Hollywood actors.
So it's very different.
Like, Frances McDormand is my favorite actress in the world. Frances.
Dude, she's amazing.
She's amazing.
Isn't she married to one of them?
Yeah, to Ethan.
Yeah,
yeah. One of them.
So she's the woman who just won the Oscar for 3 Billboards.
Oh.
She's in Fargo.
She's in Fargo. She's the lead of Fargo.
Oh, yeah.
This is the only Coen brother movie that she's not in. She's in every other one except for this one, I think. I want to say.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought...
She's an incredible actress. And again...
3 Billboards was great.
She's her face might not be like the perfect carved in the stone, but her face is full of real. Yeah. There's wrinkles and personality, and you see that she has been through shit, and she has survived that shit, and now she's here to... I don't know, look at this guy.
It's relatable, man.
Look at the chubby legs.
Yeah.
And the short shorts that he's wearing, and how confident he is with his boots. Look at it. And that's it. That's who he is. And look at this guy. Like, they're not fitted clothes, making them look pretty.
They're not, ladies.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's all bum stuff. And yeah, his hair is never good. Actually, some of his hair looks nice. Donnie's always just Donnie. He's like the ultimate schlup Buscemi is in so many other movies too.
He's always the oddball, funny guy.
They
and
tend to
weirdo.
write for people, from what I understand. You know, they
We
have
all-
their
we all
guys they
write for
like,
people, yeah.
For Buscemi,
and they're
for
they're
sure,
writing
yeah.
for those guys, and they have the idea of it. But I think they said that one of the only people they didn't know who was going to be was Jeff Bridges, was the dude. They
Yep.
didn't know.
I heard he originally was not about it, like not about the character.
I think they had to convince him.
Yeah.
The entire movie was interesting. I mean, now another thing about this movie is this movie, as it's being made, people are questioning it the entire time. Like, what is this movie? Why are you making this? The actors are not really on board. Everybody is they're coming off of Fargo though, so you're trusting that they're doing things, and then it comes out and the reviews are not good.
They don't work.
They are like, the reviews are like, you know, this is some fatigue from the festival circuit, and these guys this is just, let's pretend this movie didn't happen almost. It does not do well at the box office.
Nope.
Doesn't make any money. It's $15 million budget, only makes $5 on the opening weekend, and I mean later goes on to recoup, but it's only after, and it becomes this cult classic.
Yep.
And I always think it's interesting when a movie does that. When it doesn't hit, and then people figure out later that they love it. It's such a strange thing.
Because I think it was too ahead for this time. And it didn't work back then. Back then, everybody was tailored to a specific narrative, and they were expecting something. And one of the most complicated things for audiences is that you have to fulfill their expectations, what they have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do, it doesn't matter if you gave them something better. If you thought that you were going to eat a burger in 4th of July and I brought you the best sushi in the world, you still wanted the burger.
You wanted
because
the
it's-
burger.
it's
That's great.
4th of July.
That's great.
And it's amazing sushi. But I wanted Fargo.
Okay.
This is not Fargo.
All right.
What happened? I thought I was going to get Fargo too. But I went from dark, killing, mystery,
To some
to this.
hippie Scooby-Doo
to this.
adventure thing with weed and White Russians.
And that people were like, well, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I pay for. I pay for you to do the same thing that you did again. I'm like, but as an artist, I don't want to do the same thing again. I want to do something different.
Now, what if they had released it now? Do you think it would have been
Yep.
early for its time, ahead of its time, or would have landed
No, it
okay?
will be late. I feel
Be
like
late?
the narrative
Yeah.
has changed. My movie is not perfect by all means. I had a lot of problems with my movie. And one of them is my movie feels from the 90s. Because the movies that I love are from the 90s.
Yeah.
I love Die Hard.
Yeah,
I
but
love
you
Big
could also
Lebowski.
tap into that market of people who grew up in the 90s and are looking to get a throwback. That's like when they do like the Expendables or some shit, and I want to see Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren,
Yep.
and Schwarzenegger be in an action movie together, because I never got that in the 90s.
But
you
action
may be able to bring
is
it back.
universal. Action, I don't need a story engine. So I grew up with Mallrats. I grew up with Big Lebowski. I grew up with Kevin Smith movies. I grew up with Die Hard. Those movies don't work anymore. Think about what we have right now. We have the action, super action movies.
Pre-packaged.
Even
movies.
like,
So-
I guess, yeah.
We have like what they call the story engine one, and then that's it. That spans through a whole action movie. We have the Takens. Taken changed the world for action movies, for example. So right now, it burns too slow. It's very static. The movie is very uninteresting. Now, sorry, the way that people consume media, you need something to be popping up to your face every 10 seconds.
Memes.
You need either a sound change or a element that keeps you here. Hey, hey, hey.
Wake
hey.
up. Edit. Cut.
Have you seen Zootopia? Love that movie,
Love that
Zootopia.
movie.
But they're literally throwing things at your face every 3 seconds.
Nice.
Get out. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm here.
yeah.
This movie is too static. It wouldn't work. So this movie works if you give it the chance of, I'm going to give you 2 hours of my time with full undivided attention. Nobody has that anymore.
Yeah, for a comedy, which this ultimately is, it is very long.
Very long, very slow. Nothing is happening through the middle. There's a lot of details. And if you miss the details, you miss the story.
Only the Coen brothers get away with even making this movie. And you talked about kind of expectations. It's interesting to think, when we just think about movies and screenwriting in general, the rule is you follow the 3-act structure and you don't fuck around with that. Okay? Like when you get into screenwriting, it's all about learn how to make a movie like everybody else has made movies.
Yep.
And you hit beats on page numbers. You know? It's like page 10, you got to have this. Page 1, you got to have this. Page 97, you got to have this. And guess what? You're writing a comedy. It's not going to be over 110 pages. You're writing drama, 140. Don't do anything else. Like it is so strict because people, like you said, have these expectations. They go in the theater, and when you do something different, they can't enjoy it. It fucks with them, and it's hard to get around people's heads, especially creative people who want to be an artist and want to do their own thing. When you're starting out, you have to master that before you can change it up.
I think yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's not necessarily that I agree with that and I want that. It's just this is the state of media right now, you know?
If I had one criticism with film schools in the world or with creative people, is that somehow we are in this world where entitlement, just because I want to do it, means that I can do it.
Yeah.
If you want to make an avant-garde short film that your parents are paying for it, just go ahead and do it. Please, by all means, I love them. I love watching them.
Yeah.
But we are a business. And the business is that you're going to create a product. And the product has to be targeted for an audience and in a specific way. If I gave you the best mobile phone that you've ever seen in your life, and I charge you $40,000 for it, will you buy it? No. I don't have $40,000, but it's the best. The battery will last you 4 days.
Doesn't matter.
If you buy a shoe, and it's the best shoe that you ever tried in your life, but the shoe costs $10,000, will you buy it? No. So the more audience you can include, the higher the budget can be. So when we make movies, we actually reverse engineer the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like movie financing, I get the audience. I do projections of my audiences. I see my sales agents and my buyers how much that movie is gonna make, and if that movie is gonna make X amount of money, I need to make sure that I make the movie for half of that. Because if I make the money for more, then I'm operating on a loss. I'm operating on risk. There is very few filmmakers in the world that get away with operating on a risk, and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Aronofsky,
the blank check
there you go.
Kind of guys.
But even Aronofsky can do whatever he wants, but he still needs Jennifer Lawrence to push it through, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
because that's what he sells. So this movie, the problem is that I don't know how you finance this. They made a movie similar to this. It was The Good Guys with Russell Crowe and Pretty Boy.
Yeah. Blade Runner. Huh?
Ryan Gosling. There you go.
I like that movie.
But it's a 90s movie.
Yeah.
And you needed a huge director with two huge actors, and the movie still didn't work.
Totally.
For many people.
Yeah.
So it shows that the formula does not work. There was no more power that I could put behind that movie. That Russell Crowe, Pretty Boy, and the huge director. And it still
doesn't matter.
Still didn't work.
It's amazing how many of those things happen and fail. I mean, Aronofsky fails fucking all the time. He's just constantly putting out flops.
Doesn't care.
You know? It doesn't, but yeah, for some studios it doesn't matter because you make that one big movie.
Look, after my movie, I got a lot of offers. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I feel like I can't believe you didn't. I mean, I understand, and I think I would be very much like you, where I need to be happy.
I need to
be
it's
happy.
It's very hard to wake up in the morning,
because it's a soul-sucking job, and it can really be difficult. And it's about, like you said, like you throw yourself so completely into it, and then that becomes your life and your world, and your work is everything. And if you're not enjoying that, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
I enjoyed it. Just felt, but anyway, so I enjoyed it. I just felt lonely and separated from the world, and I didn't have it in me. Go all over again, do it all over again, get on the horse. But after I make the movie, I got offers. Got a bunch of offers. But I don't write. I like rewriting other people's work. I love working with editors, and I love working with writers. So because I don't write from scratch, I wanted people to give me their stories, and all they were giving me, they were shit. Everything was shit. So I don't know if it was because I was heartbroken from my own movie, because the movie was never what I wanted it to be. It happens, you know.
And nothing is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the next one, I was like, do I want to do it all over again for this story? Nah. Do I want to do this? So I went from like the legendaries of the world offering me movies to maybe not that exciting. And because I kept saying no to everything, then my agents were not that excited anymore. And because I produced my own movies, my agents had to argue with me literally for my salary, which is really weird. So at one point, CAA decides, well, we don't want to go that road anymore. And then I start getting worse projects. So there was a point where I was like, everything that everybody's doing is shit? And the answer is, it is. Who is doing the best stories? Either you already have a big profile so you can get the script that is exciting, or they are incredible writer-directors. That's what Hollywood needs right now.
Mm-hmm.
People that can say, I'm going to write this story and I'm going to own it and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Black Panther, for example.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know Ryan Coogler. My editor of my movie is the same editor that all Ryan's movies. So
really?
He did Black Panther, he did Creed, he did Tell.
He's
did
young too.
Station.
He's our age.
32. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Michael P. Schubert.
Yeah.
So he made an incredible movie with Fruitvale Station, and he said, okay, you want me to do... He wanted to do Creed. He wanted to do what he said it was Black Rocky. I want to do Black Rocky. And he went to pitch it, and he wrote it. So when they offered him Black Panther, he said, I'll do it. But I'm going to do it my way.
Okay.
So play with me.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige said, I'll play with you. You show that your skill is incredible.
Yeah.
I'll play with you. And if you watch Black Panther,
yeah,
it
they
shows.
They played nicely.
There's a
Yeah,
guy.
and
There's
he-
a guy behind making a movie.
He made money. It is 11:44.
We gotta do final thoughts.
We very
Final thoughts.
unfortunately have to wrap.
Yep.
This has been a really fun episode.
It
I
has.
wish we should have you back and just talk about esports.
Well, I can do it.
Maybe at the end of this season when you guys release whatever you're gonna release at the
Awesome.
end, we'll have you back.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to.
I'll give my final thoughts first.
Go for
Bring it on.
Big Lebowski, ultimate cult classic. See it. If you have the balls, do the Lebowski challenge. I just learned about this from LD, who said it's basically the Lebowski challenge is every time he drinks a Russian, you drink a right Russian, and every time he smokes a joint, you smoke a joint. Okay? So good luck if you want to be crazy.
I don't support drugs, but
Sit down and see it. If you haven't, you're missing out. I know there's a lot of fans in our Discord. I know there's Mango King, I think his name is, and he watches it every year. He goes and watches the movie
That's
at
awesome.
a local theater, which is so cool because
Yeah.
that's how kind of presence this movie has. You're not gonna forget it. You've never seen something like it. It's totally unique, but what a great movie.
Yeah, from the perspective here of just like I've seen all the memes, I've heard all the quotes. I feel like I've already known the movie before seeing it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, go see it. It's good to finally just get it from beginning to end, to find those fun little moments, the pad, Donnie unexpectedly being taken out of the equation, and then just Walter's character. You just get to learn so much more character depth to the movie than it's just some, druggy kind of bum walking around being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was fun, and I think you're right. It definitely deserves a rewatch. So it's something I'll throw back into the action again.
I love that I get to visit my old friends every time I watch this movie. It feels like a window into my past, a window into another time in my life where maybe life was simpler. And every time I watch it is a place for me to relax and enjoy. And I feel that the directors have me in good care. I feel in their arms.
Yes.
And I can relax. As a director, I can't relax on everybody's arms. So I know that I'm in good hands with this. So it's a wonderful experience for me when I feel that I can watch a movie and let's go for a ride.
Yeah.
And they do that in every movie. They're incredible.
And they're always the great thing about rewatching this, and I'm sorry to keep adding on, these guys are pros, and they're hiding tons of stuff in there. And if you watch it, whether you're looking in the background, because like you said, there's so much in every shot. There's so much in every shot. Or it's a story, or some of these lines, you can pull more from it. Rewatch it. Yeah.
Luna, it was an absolute pleasure,
pleasure.
having
It was
you
awesome.
on the show. It
I
was
don't wanna
great
go.
talking
No,
with you. I
I
know.
stay.
You're welcome to hang
It's
around
so easy,
for a
right?
bit,
To do
get
like
more
2 hours.
coffee.
It's so easy.
But we are going to be heading out here, guys. If you love the podcast action, you're welcome to join in on the conversation on what we're going to be watching, what we're going to be talking about over on our Discord. Discord.gg/BTS is where we're all hanging out and chatting up. Our next podcast is going to be on Monday. We'll have a show priority to talk about GESC and I believe Dream League's event that's going on right now.
Dream League killing it right now.
I believe you're out of town. You're going to Chicago.
I'll be in
I'm
Chicago.
out of town. I'm going to China.
This guy's casting. Watch DAC.
So Ken and Slime should be here to hopefully hold down the fort for show priority. And yeah, if you want to see me casting again, which I'm nervous
do
as
this.
fuck about. I actually have to cast in just about 10 minutes to give myself like a warm-up game.
Oh,
Got
yeah?
some MDL qualifier action, but I'm very anxious for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We look forward to seeing more from
thank you, man.
Immortals and Valiant. That's so awesome for you and everything that you have going. It's been a pleasure. So thank you guys. Take care. We'll see
Yeah,
you
thank you
on
so
the
much,
next podcast. Bye now.
Take care.
Bye.